Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm pleased to welcome you to this presentation on limit of detection, LOD, criteria in analytical method validation. I'm Dr. S.K. Singh, and I'll be guiding you through this session. Today, we'll explore the key concepts behind determining the limit of detection and how it fits into the broader process of validating analytical methods. So, let's get started and delve into this important topic. Now, let's talk about what analytical method validation really means. Essentially, it's about making sure that the method we use is reliable, accurate, and suitable for its intended purpose. When we validate a method, we're confirming that it consistently produces trustworthy results. This is crucial because it underpins the quality and safety of the products we work with. According to the USB, there are specific parameters we need to evaluate during validation. These include accuracy, which tells us how close our results are to the true value. Precision, on the other hand, ensures that our results are consistent when we repeat the measurement. Specificity is about the method's ability to measure what we want without interference from other substances. Linearity confirms that our method provides results proportional to the concentration over a certain range. We also look at the limit of detection, or LOD, which is the smallest amount we can detect, and the limit of quantitation, or LOQ, which is the smallest amount we can measure accurately. The range defines the span over which the method remains reliable. Robustness tests how well the method performs under slight variations, ensuring it's dependable in different conditions. All these parameters contribute to a method that is reliable, accurate, precise, and sensitive. These qualities are fundamental because they guarantee that our analytical results are trustworthy, supporting quality control and regulatory compliance. Ultimately, validation is about building confidence in our methods, so we can make informed decisions based on solid data. Let's take a moment to understand the detection limit, or LOD. Essentially, the LOD is the smallest amount of analyte in a sample that we can detect. Now, it's important to note that detecting something doesn't mean we can accurately measure how much of it is there. It just tells us whether it's present or not. So the key point here is that LOD indicates presence, not an exact quantity. Now, when do we actually need to determine the LOD? Typically, it's required in methods where identifying very small amounts matters, such as impurity analysis, related substances, residual solvents, or trace-level analysis. In these cases, knowing whether something is there at all is crucial. On the other hand, for most assay methods, unless there's a specific justification, we usually don't need to establish the LOD. The focus there is more on quantifying the main analyte accurately rather than just detecting tiny traces. So, understanding when to use LOD helps us tailor our analytical approach to the requirements of each method, ensuring both accuracy and efficiency in our testing process. Now, let's look at the methods for determining LOD, or limit of detection, according to USB guidelines. This is a crucial step in method validation because it tells us the smallest amount of analyte that we can reliably detect, but not necessarily quantify. One common approach is the signal-to-noise method, where we identify the lowest concentration that produces a signal distinguishable from the background noise. It's important to ensure that this method reflects real-world conditions, so the detection limit is meaningful. Another approach involves statistical calculations, like analyzing replicate measurements at low concentrations to see where the signal consistently rises above the noise level, often using a specific confidence level. These methods are essential because they help us establish the sensitivity of our analytical method. And, as we move forward in the presentation, you'll see how these detection limits are integrated into broader validation parameters to ensure the reliability and robustness of our methods. Now, let's take a look at the standard deviation and slope method, which is also known as Method 2. This approach is particularly useful when we're trying to analyze data variability and trend directions simultaneously. The key idea here is to use the standard deviation to understand how much data points fluctuate around the mean, giving us a sense of the overall variability. At the same time, calculating the slope helps us identify the direction and rate of change over time or across different conditions. By combining these two metrics, we can get a more comprehensive picture of the data, seeing not just how much it varies, but also whether it's trending upward or downward. This method plays a crucial role in our overall analysis because it allows us to make more informed decisions based on both the consistency and the direction of the data. It's a powerful tool for detecting subtle patterns that might be missed with simpler methods. So, how do we actually obtain sigma, or the standard deviation, in this context? Well, there are a couple of ways. One way is to look at the standard deviation of blank responses. These are the measurements you get when no analyte is present, and it gives us an idea of the baseline noise in our system. Alternatively, you can determine sigma from the standard deviation of the y-intercepts of your calibration curve. For example, let's consider some blank results based on area measurements: 120, 135, 140, 125, and 130. When we calculate the mean of these, it comes out to 130, and the standard deviation, sigma in this case, is about 8.37. This value of sigma is crucial because we use it in the limit of detection formula, helping us understand the smallest amount of analyte that can be reliably detected with our method. So, whether you use the blank responses or the calibration curve intercepts, getting an accurate sigma is key for establishing the sensitivity of your analytical method. Now, let's talk about the acceptance criteria for LOD, or limit of detection. There's no strict percentage limit that we need to stick to here. Instead, acceptance is generally based on a few key factors. First, we're looking for a signal-to-noise ratio of approximately 3:1. That means the detected signal should be about 3 times higher than the background noise, ensuring it's distinguishable. Second, we need a clear, detectable peak in our data, so we can confidently identify the analyte. Third, reproducibility is essential. Our detection should be consistent across multiple measurements. And finally, the detection must be suitable for the intended purpose, whether for screening, confirmation, or quantification. Moving on to calibration curves for LOD, the idea is to prepare solutions at low concentrations, close to the detection limit. For example, we create a series of solutions with decreasing analyte levels to see where our method still reliably detects the analyte. This helps us establish the lowest concentration that meets these acceptance criteria. Overall, understanding and properly defining the LOD ensures our analytical method is both accurate and reliable for its intended use. Let's take a moment to understand the difference between LOD and LOQ. These two terms are crucial in analytical chemistry, especially when we're talking about method validation and detection capabilities. LOD, or limit of detection, refers to the lowest amount of a substance that we can confidently say is present, but it might not be quantified precisely. Think of it as the point where the signal just starts to stand out from the background noise. On the other hand, LOQ, or limit of quantification, is the lowest concentration at which we can not only detect the substance, but also measure it accurately and reliably. So, LOQ is generally higher than LOD because it requires a better signal-to-noise ratio. Understanding these differences is vital because they impact how we interpret our analytical results and ensure our methods are suitable for specific testing requirements. In essence, while LOD tells us if something is present, LOQ tells us if we can confidently quantify how much is there. This distinction helps maintain the integrity and reliability of our analytical data, which is the core of our overall quality assurance process. Let's now look at a practical example of the impurity method in action. Imagine we're working with a mixture of different compounds, and our goal is to identify a specific impurity within that mixture. The impurity method involves isolating and analyzing these impurities to better understand the composition and purity of our sample. This approach is particularly useful because impurities often reveal important information about the manufacturing process or the quality of the product. By focusing on impurities, we're effectively using them as markers to assess the overall purity. In this example, we see how carefully separating impurities can lead to more accurate analysis, helping us make informed decisions about quality control or process optimization. So, this practical application highlights the core value of the impurity method, turning what might seem like contaminants into valuable insights that support our overarching goal of ensuring product integrity. Now, let's wrap up with the key takeaways about the limit of detection, or LOD. LOD is essentially the lowest amount of analyte that we can reliably detect with our method. It's especially important when we're dealing with impurities or trace substances where detecting even tiny amounts matters a lot. We usually determine LOD either through the signal-to-noise ratio method or by using the 3.3 sigma over S formula, which helps us quantify this detection limit precisely. Understanding LOD is crucial because it directly reflects the sensitivity of our analytical method. The more sensitive the method, the lower the LOD, and the better we are at spotting minute quantities. This is particularly critical in stability studies and when analyzing related substances, as it ensures we can detect any potential impurities or changes over time. So, in essence, LOD isn't just a technical number. It's a vital indicator of how capable our method is in revealing the smallest traces, which ultimately supports the reliability and safety of our pharmaceutical analysis. For further support, please feel free to contact us. We're here to help you with any questions or additional information you might need. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. If you ever need assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. We appreciate your engagement and look forward to staying connected. Thank you again for being part of this presentation.